So yeah, we kind of wanted to bring together the day and just sort of reflect on why we're here, the mission, and just to explore a bit of everyone's different perspectives. As many of you can probably already tell from this event, it's not just people from the industry. There's people who are local residents, there's students, charities, everything in between, people who are an MP, government, everyone different perspectives. So we kind of really wanted to explore that today, but very much open for everyone to just chime in if they've got any questions towards the end, and that'd be most welcome. So yeah, essentially, defend together, building stronger coastal communities. So I won't talk too much longer, but I just wanted to do a quick introduction to myself before we go ahead, because some of you may not have been here this morning. So long story short, I'm Jess. I'm one of the co-founders of Seasides with Hazel on the end there. Hello, Hazel. And I am born in Weston. I've lived here for a certain amount of time. So yeah, very much a local person.
84 years.
and a half. But yeah, very much a local person, so this has got an awful lot of personal resonance for me putting this event together, so I really hope you've all enjoyed it. So without further ado, if I could head over to Hazel to please introduce yourself.
I get to talk now.
Yes, you do.
Holly, you're last. I'm Hazel McPherson. I am obviously the other co-founder. We, in January, created a company called Defend Together with the idea of bringing community events by the community for the community. And anybody that knows me knows that I'm a director of B-Sides Bristol, and we wanted to bring that kind of community feel to the coast because we don't see it here, and quite frankly I'm bored of getting on trains to London. And as you can tell, we've done a really good job of encouraging people to our wonderful town. I am currently looking for work, so if you want an MC for your event, come and see me afterwards.
In a nutshell.
Thanks.
Can you still hear me? Sorry, my mic's really playing up. We'll go with it. Dan, if we can go over to you.
Hello, Dan Aldridge, Member of Parliament for Weston-super-Mare, formerly Head of Policy and Public Affairs for the British Computer Society. So I think I went into being an MP expecting to do far more on tech, and actually realised the vast majority of my constituents don't care or don't necessarily have a positive perspective on it, and whole sections of our community are disenfranchised from it for many different reasons. And I was determined to utilise the amazing kind of networks that I had built through working with the British Computer Society, with people like Hazel, to make sure that places like Weston get a fair share of it. I was wearing a hoodie before I changed into this, and on the back of it, it's a Moomin hoodie because I love Moomins, but on the back it says community is superpower, and I think that is exactly what I keep coming back to, is how we build those communities. So everything that I try and do as in this job is about building those communities.
And we've now just upgraded you to a Western superhero.
Debbie, if I could get you to use yourself, that'd be brilliant.
Hello, my name's Debbie Apted, and I'm a volunteer with the Weston-super-Mare Chamber of Commerce and also community lead for Plastic Free Weston-super-Mare. I have no knowledge, or that much knowledge, about cyber and cyber security. I signed up to this event because I've worked in corporate for 40-odd years, and we get emails all the time and e-learning about cybersecurity, and I realise how privileged I've been for that. And there's so many people and businesses and our chamber members who don't know what they don't know, and how important cyber security actually is. It's not just the big companies that get taken down. And I signed up today to hand out crabs to people, and I've ended up sitting on the stage somehow. So thank you, Hazel.
You are welcome. Last but not least, Holly.
The next slide that I was about to introduce to everyone.
Oh, there you go.
No, cut the mic.
Sorry, running joke
mic.
for anyone who wasn't in my talk. Where were you? Holly Foxcroft. I am a BISO, which is a Business Information Security Officer. I sit as part of the senior cybersecurity leadership team in a software company. I've been in software. I've been in software. I've been in cyber for about 15 years. Come from both technical and now I'm very much a socio-technical role. Meaning a socio-technical means that you are half in kind of the social side of technology and the culture and the technical side as well.
So, kind of got a bit of flavour of everyone here is on the panel today. Different perspectives, as I mentioned earlier. But I'm going to go head off to Hazel again. So really, we're kind of bringing that kind of why we're here today perspective. So Hazel, as the co-founder of Seasides, but also somebody who has been within security for a number of years, I won't disclose how many, we'd be welcome to hear your sort of thoughts really in terms of what problem we're trying to solve in terms of coastal communities and seasides essentially.
So I didn't have anything else to do. And you're all welcome. I've been in tech and cyber for 30 years now, and in April this year I decided to move out of the corporate space and start working for myself because I wanted to do things that were more important to me personally and that brought value to the things that I care about as well, not just turning up to work every day and setting objectives that I knew nobody was ever going to meet. So I deliberately shifted direction, and I then had the opportunity and the time to do something like this, which has been an idea that has been living in my head for about 2 years, and people like Holly will know that because every time we ended up at an event together, I would say, what about seasides? And the more people that said to me, oh, do you know what, that's not a bad idea, the more it encouraged me. So here we are today, and that's you're welcome. But it's important to me because obviously I live here, but I've also now got a small business here myself. So it's the sorts of things that I want to be seeing here, because it's not just me that's a small business owner in Weston. It's not just this particular day in this particular month. I want this to live on the legacy of Seasides we'll talk about in the closing words. But it's really important to raise the awareness, raise the profile, make sure that everybody feels that cybersecurity is theirs, regardless of their experience or their knowledge, that it's open to everybody. And it's not just the type of business that I run that means that, like consultants like us, we talk in plain language because we want people to be interested. The analogy that I always use is that you wouldn't walk out your front door and not lock it and expect somebody else to come and lock it for you. You know that the value of that, so you lock your own front door. And we want cybersecurity to be exactly the same. It becomes a muscle, it becomes something that you're used to, you're not afraid of. And we start by having events like this where we invite lots of people in that aren't just from the cyber and tech industry to start having those conversations.
It's a really good point to end on, actually, because if I can hand it to Dan, actually, in terms of your point of view, in terms of the sort of the government and the policymaker side of things, because obviously we're talking local level here in terms of like resilience. I'll be interested to hear your sort of thoughts around that, because obviously Hazel's touched on it from a small business owner, someone who's had a lot of leadership sort of within corporate entities, and obviously she is passionate from a community perspective. We founded Seasides together, so I'll be interested to hear from your perspective as an MP, just generally, more broadly from that government perspective, if that's all right.
So, being an MP was never on my mood board or to-do list, but you know, the kind of say yes to the big challenges was something that that got me into this area of work. But what got me into the tech sector was also saying yes to something I didn't really understand, and I thought, you know, my journey into it was all around believing in social justice, community value, and community empowerment. And I think that journey led me to the British Computer Society. It then led me into Parliament. But the thing that that bothered me when I was at the British Computer Society, that's informed what I do now, is that we so often talk in silos. And it's almost like cliche now, or, you know, we need to get out of the silo, we need to get out of it. But it's very, very, we talk about it, but we don't often turn it into practical solutions. This is a practical solution to breaking down the silos that we all, you know, perpetuate and continue to nurture in many ways, and we don't really realize it. One of the issues I had in my previous job before I was elected was the disconnect between technologists, the disconnect between policy professionals and policy makers, so members of parliament, peers, that sort of thing. And it's been a really interesting journey going from the one side of it to the other, where the things that I thought were going to occupy the vast majority of my time are really not the things that occupy my time. I have to respond to my constituents' needs and wants, which is very much not this. There are sometimes opportunities. Digital ID is one example where I get the opportunity to do something in this space that is about informing and raising the debate. But every single system will inevitably want to look inward, sometimes more than it wants to look outward. And I think that is something that we need to continue to challenge. MPs are not immune to that. In fact, MPs will often do that far too much because, I see it in Westminster. You see certain groups of MPs that will want to focus very clearly on what I would consider sometimes that kind of political navel-gazing stuff, the Westminster bubble. It's a real thing. And so getting out of that is really important, and how we continue to open those conversations. So professional bodies, industry bodies talking with MPs is really important. I genuinely believe this intake of MPs from all parties is a much more aware group of MPs than the previous group. I mean, age isn't necessarily a barrier to technological knowledge, but this Parliament is 20 years younger than the previous Parliament. So there is a difference in terms of how people have lived experience and education when it comes to technology. There is an opportunity to be having these conversations, and there is a desire with parliamentarians to translate some of these conversations to their constituencies in a way that I don't think was there before. So when if we talk about digital ID, for example, it's how we make sure that that conversation is happening out there, and it's not just happening in a kind of echo chamber on Facebook, or it's an informed discussion where the risks and the opportunities are discussed from an informed research perspective, not based on ideology, which is a real issue. And that's a whole lot of it. But that has changed my perspective on it massively. Just how we bridge the gap between trust, which I think is lost, and the promise of technological advance. There's a lot there. So.
Oh my God, you can talk more than Holly.
With the force is strong with this group of people.
Well, we'll go on to Holly next then, actually. So,
please don't.
Following on. So, Holly, I know you briefly, you did your session before this, or your talk, talking a lot about culture, but if I could ask you, so, underrepresented voices, and diverse perspectives, and how can we make sure we include them in cyber solutions? Essentially, that whole of the diverse perspective, if I'm making myself clear.
Can I read the question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. Sorry. I'm really bad at verbal instruction, so let me just read it quickly. Okay. So I'm going to... I'm very vocal about it, but I'm autistic and I have ADHD. If anyone didn't pick up on that, who were in there with my talk, yeah, okay, let's just put that down. Neurodiversity within cyber has been something that I have been passionate about driving forward, about neuro-inclusion within the cybersecurity area, but actually understanding neurodivergence within the role of cyber, and particularly cybercrime. There was some research that was published back in 2017. There was released from the NCA that looked at raising concerns that there is a lot of autistic characteristics, or they called it autistic traits in cybercrime activities. And there was some research that then centred on why autistic-like traits are found in cyber-dependent crimes. And I challenged that research. I said, you've got to look at this from a different way. Why is neurodivergence, the vulnerabilities, of neurodivergence, a catalyst towards cyber crime? And it's looking at that vulnerability side. So why are they important? One, okay, so it's been identified that if cybercrime offenders or our adversaries have higher rates of being neurodivergent, the reason for that is because of that way of thinking, that pattern recognition, that way of thinking differently, that is unfortunately going to be a way to compromise an organisation or technology. And why? So to think like our adversaries, well, surely we need an altered way of thinking. And research has shown us that diverse teams outperform non-diverse teams. So we've seen that. So why are we, unfortunately, in cybersecurity, we have remained very undiverse. It has, and there is a needle to change that. And when I say undiverse, I mean in very different areas. We look at it from gender diversity, particularly neurodiversity, but also socioeconomic diversity as well. So often the route into cyber is people would want you to have a degree. And unfortunately, that's not always attainable. If we look at it from a socioeconomic perspective, even going to, I'm paying off student loan. It is not for the faint-hearted. It makes me cry every month. But there are other factors as to why a person could not go to university. And let's just think of that of why that could affect an area particularly like this. What universities, you've got Exeter, etc. But if you're very close to your community, or if you're close to your family, if you have caring responsibilities, or if you have those economic impacts, it's not always attainable. Now look at it from the neurodiversity aspect. It can't be attainable because it actually can be really, really hard work. What was the question again? Sorry.
I think you've answered it now.
No, I haven't. There's one more bit. Underrepresented voices and diverse perspectives. It's important because it's the right thing to do. It is the right thing to do. As a society, we need to continue to give voices to those who are underrepresented, because unfortunately, as we have seen time and time again, particularly throughout, I think, if we look back, it's all that we've ever done as humans, is we have overstepped the people that we believe society should not have voices. But unfortunately, the time has come now, and through technological expanding of technology and social pages and presence, we have those voices. And if you're going to exclude those people, unfortunately, your social profile is then going to go down. So it's time to step up. Can I have to stop now? Stop.
No, that was a high five.
Oh,
That leads me on to, thank you very much, Holly. So kind of following on to unrepresented voices, we've obviously made a point of trying to make this event very inclusive. So it's not just industry, it's not just local residents, it's a mixture of everything. So I'm going to turn to Debbie now, if I may. So Debbie, as a local resident and as someone who's kindly volunteered today, I'd be really, really interested to hear your perspective in terms of how you've seen the community come together today, the security community, I'll call it writ large, but just generally what your take on today has been, your experience of today.
Thanks. It's been an eye-opener. It's been absolutely fantastic. I was dead keen to get involved because it's a new initiative, as far as I'm aware, for Weston, and I think it's going to fill a huge gap. I think there's a great need to get the community together, so we started with this. I've spoken to quite a few people here today. They seem to, a lot of people in the cyber sector, if you like, not everybody, but it's getting engaged with the people perhaps that aren't engaged with that, and they don't know they need to be engaged with it. So it's, because of my corporate background, I know the risks that are involved with it, whereas if you've got, say, one of a small business owner that's a family firm, they just take on the job of cyber security as the director of, I'll do that as part of my job, or the PA, or somebody else has that without total understanding. When I started work, when I was at school, there was no such thing as a calculator. We had slide rules, that was it. So, and then you go on through the technology, just in my working time of work. And I think now how fast technology is moving, and people that have had a family firm that has been handed down over generations, we've always done it this way, we've always done it that way. How can they become resilient enough against the threats that are out there that I see in the corporate world? Our IT team, the company I work for, we get emails every so often, one of our suppliers has been hacked, don't open any emails from them. Now, those are the smaller companies, and that probably works down through to small companies. So it could be anyone. I look at social media posts, and it's usually older, perhaps more vulnerable people that are like me, that haven't worked in cyber security or have grown up not understanding. You're given tools to work with. Here's your computer. Here's Microsoft Word. Here's this. Here's that. And you don't really get all the training that's involved. You just, you're supposed to be able to work with that. So there's a lot of people like that in our community, and they're just trying to do their job. If you're a plumber or an electrician, you're good at that sort of thing. How are you going to be good at cyber security without any knowledge? And I think this is where whatever Hazel is going to be doing, and yourself with the Defence CIC, this is what I would really hope to come out of it, is to get that message out to our communities, to our businesses, to the older people who say, am I due a winter fuel allowance? I've had this text.
Which is phishing, by the way, if anybody did receive that, because my mum asked me just
how many
week.
people have had that? And you think, but some people believe it because they want to believe it. And we know the red flags because we've either worked in cyber. We all miss them occasionally, but it's the vulnerable people are the ones that could get their bank accounts wiped out. And that is really what I'm hoping that this can lead to. So,
can I really quickly just share on that? And on my culture talk out there, I was just saying what I do over my Champions program. Ultimately, I send memes, but also my way of engaging my organisation in cybersecurity awareness training without them knowing it's cybersecurity awareness training is I don't make it organisationally all the time. I share about their interests. I do a lot in terms of digital guardianship and digital citizenship for those who have children or are connected to children. And I do a lot of supporting with vulnerable adults. So I, for the phishing, I call it phishing. I put out a leaflet. I made it on Canva. Marketing was furious because it wasn't orange. I made it on Canva that they could then take that and they could print and they could talk to their vulnerable adults. And then I made up a poster and said, you put these in your coffee shops, put them in your libraries, put them in your GP surgeries. Put them where you think they are going to get noticed. And just by that one small part of connecting them to community as being the cyber hero, but it gets people to engage in other or information about cyber threats that they may not have had example
Somebody's
into.
phone's ringing. If that's your phone, can you stand up, please?
Who was it? Shh. Should we do what that Michael thingy does and take the phone? What's his name?
Send to all.
Yeah.
Yeah, shall we?
Shall we?
Can somebody get his phone?
Together.
I am a chaos creator. Never leave a phone around me either. Never leave a phone around me. Plenty of people at White Hat Ball. It was only at the White Hat Ball when I found Eleanor Dalloway's phone. Oh, it was brilliant. She had 201 messages saying, Eleanor, don't leave your phone unattended. Sorry.
Anyway, I disrupted that, sorry.
Honestly, this panel. So, what I wanted to say is kind of to pull out of you, Debbie, really, and what I want to understand is the why. Because I know Hazel has told me an awful lot that you have been an incredible ambassador for Seasides. So, Hazel, please, can you honestly...
I literally only rejoined Facebook to promote Seasides, but the first person that I saw amplifying the message was Debbie. And that absolutely thrilled me because as a local resident, as somebody that stepped up and volunteered almost straight away without any cyber knowledge whatsoever or any background in that, and sorry if I'm underplaying your knowledge, hopefully you've got more now, that was absolutely thrilling for me because that's exactly why we put Seasides on, to get people engaged, to make it interesting for them and for people to feel like they can come and be part of this. It isn't just a cyber community, it is a community.
And I think it was just before you put that message out, our IT team at work had sent out an email to say they were uploading software to our laptops. That was lovely. And then about an hour later, they sent out another email saying there was going to be, our emails were going to be switched off. And I was due to go on holiday. And I thought, oh God, I'm not going to be able to get all my work done before I go on holiday. And they listed the schedule of when the emails were going to be switched off. So Buggins here clicked it straight away, and then a message comes up, woohoo, you've been caught. So it was a thing, and all the red flags were there, and I missed every single red flag.
Because we're all human.
Because I was
we are
panicking,
all susceptible
and
to it.
that is how easy it is. As a
I've hacked myself
user.
before.
Yeah.
That's how easy it is.
I failed my own phishing.
I did. I wrote the
failed
phishing
it.
exercise
I
and I
failed my
clicked on
own
it.
phishing. I forgot what one I chose, ADHD. But the one I chose was an OpenAI ChatGPT one. And I chose it because it's just so topical. And I said, the one that I chose out, said some of the data had changed, linked to my work email address. I panicked because I thought, people know I'm ChatGPTing. I don't even have ChatGPT linked to my work. But because of that irrational moment, I failed my very own phishing. That is not to be shared outside this room. Everyone at Advance knows, but no one else in the industry knows. Please keep that to yourself.
So no posting on LinkedIn this evening then. I'd love to say that mine was as sophisticated as that, but I just was desperate to win a £20 Amazon voucher for decorating an Easter egg. Sorry, Jess.
Just lie
is your
down after
fault
this,
getting me on
honestly. Right, you're not invited next time. No, I'm joking. Okay, it's one to effectively bring us on a panel. It's another to hold the event. We say defend together, but it's not going to just be words, right? So I think what I'm trying to say is we want to be together, but we have to be realistic about what the state of play is right now. So what I'm getting at is essentially the barriers. So what barriers effectively are there to bring together, the government side of things, or whether it's community, or somebody like Debbie who's a local resident with limited or no knowledge, or just people who work in industry? How can we pull these things together? And we're not saying we're starting from zero, but it's just in a tangible way. How can we come up with steps to bring it together? We can put on events like this, but we can't do this every day. Unfortunately, I've got a day job, and many of us do.
No need to show off.
All right, then. And I volunteer for other things, but yeah, essentially what I'm saying is that how can we start to reduce the barriers? Today's the first step, and I know there are events all over the country and globally, but for particularly in a coastal context, because this is where this is what today is about. How can we bring those barriers down?
Me?
Let's go for you. Let's go.
Partnerships and communities, everything, right? And they need infrastructure, they need support, they need resource. But the first thing, going into Parliament, the one thing that I was very aware of is that Weston-super-Mare and Whirl were not very high on a political agenda, and I didn't feel like they had been recognised enough in Parliament. So, for example, the town of Whirl, which actually has more voters in it than Weston, which makes up my constituency, Whirl had never been mentioned on the green benches in Parliament before, other than by a transport secretary when they were referring to the train station. So and I was like, I wonder how many times my predecessor had mentioned Whirl. I wonder if I'd beaten him yet in the year that I've been there. And I had beaten him the first time I mentioned it because he never mentioned it in his 14 years. This matters because decisions are made based on humans are making these decisions, right? I was at number 11 talking to Rachel Reeves about, it was in advance of the spending review, and I wanted to I needed to make sure that Weston-super-Mare, she even knew that Weston-super-Mare was a place. And we had a conversation about it, and she was very open with me about what her perception of the place was. Let's say it wasn't the reality. It matters that people recognise that we are a town of 97,800 people. It matters that we are, in the next 10 years, will overtake Bath in terms of size. This is a place where things are happening and things are changing. So we need the resource to be brought in. So we managed to I lobbied very hard to make sure that we were included in this Pride in Place funding. So we have £20 million that's going to be funded for the most deprived areas of Weston. But I'm very aware that those deprived areas of Weston are the ones that are probably the most digitally unincluded, the most digitally vulnerable. There's going to be a need to go out there and to be in amongst those communities. And what this is about, in one way, is about meeting people where they are, as in Weston-super-Mare. But it is now incumbent upon us to then go further with those resources and with the community that we've created and then go further and go into those communities and go into the schools. I mean, we've got representatives from our schools here. We've got representatives from across the town here. These are going to be your active citizens who will go out and cascade that message. So, I said to you earlier when we were up at the back, and I was like, this has to happen next year because we have to build the momentum. There are networks that I have as a parliamentarian as well that are really, really useful. So there is the Coastal Communities All-Party Parliamentary Group that I'm a member of that I've already pitched this as an idea to. They're very excited about it. Holly Billington, who's the East Thanet MP, I think, so over the other side of the country, she's desperate for it. There's so many opportunities like that, but it's about continuing those conversations and those partnerships, and it's about trust as well, because if we don't trust each other and show that delivery with each other and expect each other to have good intentions and show that we can deliver, these things matter, because otherwise we'll not get anywhere without trust.
What's my notice period? Next year? 30 days, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, I'm handing my notice in.
Would you like to come in on that, Hazel?
Which
like
part,
to
sorry?
Add anything? I mean, everything I say, everything you've said, it resonates with me because, as I say, I'm someone who was born here. But it's got to start from everywhere. I mean, someone like industry, that's got to be that direction of conversation. Local resident, everybody's got to take their part tomorrow if they want this event to go ahead. So the barriers are there, but we do need to tear them down together. It can't just be me and Hazel, for example. It needs to be all of us having that conversation and giving feedback and turning up all the time. And it does take a lot of energy, but it's, in my personal opinion, it's really rewarding to do that. I enjoy community stuff. And when I use the word community, I don't just mean the industry. I mean the whole ecosystem. I can't think of a better word. I'm really passionate that we do this.
So I'll try and give you a sensible answer rather than just surviving on caffeine and chaos still. There is part of me that has absolutely loved every part of today and every moment building up to today. Everything, all of the detail, all of the people that have been involved, all of the people that I've met today. I have absolutely loved every single part of it. And I'll be really sad, genuinely, when this is over, because I'll have to do a proper job again. Sorry, I was trying to be sensible. The important thing about today is that we have achieved something, and it's taken so much energy and so much passion. And anybody who has ever organised any kind of event of any size will realise just how much effort goes into it. And we can't do it on our own. We literally couldn't do it again next year. People's circumstances are changing all of the time, and we do need a community to actually deliver these community events. And you will see all of the people absolutely exhausted in the red t-shirts because they have also given absolutely everything to this event today to make it as enjoyable and as impactful as possible. And you'll have to stop me, but all of the speakers, I can't underestimate the value that we have received from every single speaker that's been here today. We've had 5 rooms full of people from all angles of the industry that have brought free of charge their knowledge and skills and experience to the people of Weston today.
Not mine, though. I got cut off.
Not you. So if anybody wants to sign up for the organisers panel for 2026, see me afterwards. You can bribe me with vodka.
It's quite hard to follow up that without being emotional, to be honest, so I'll try and wrap it up because I know we're running out of time. I just want to leave it on one question, really, and I'll leave it to the panel, but then I'm happy to fling it open for questions and answers. Really, what I'm getting at is, what does success look like? How are we going to measure that based off of, we all come off the pier tomorrow? Is it more jobs coming into this coastal area? Is it skills, resilience? What are we measuring? Because how we not hold ourselves accountable, but what does that look like from a tangible point of view? Because it's easy to fill the fuzzy fills and say defend together, and I don't want to be cynical, but there's also an element of me who is, I am a practical person as well. So what I'm getting at is essentially, what does success look like, and what does that look like? Oh, go for it.
I mean, I always think when it comes to stuff like this that we're only as strong as our weakest link, and I think there's a whole mapping exercise that needs to be done in areas like Weston, and that is something that I've been pushing for. So I chair the all-party parliamentary group on cyber innovation, and I set that up very specifically because I wanted to utilise that for communities like ours. So there are links with, and one of the things that I continually do is go out to go into industry and say, look, corporate social responsibility, really important. This is how you demonstrate it. This is how you do it. So those conversations about resource and how we get the community to deliver, they're all happening at that kind of level as well. So how this all gets cascaded. There are obviously going to be some metrics that we can use and we can demonstrate. We can look at how we use metrics to sense who has those skills and knowledge. We can look at jobs, but I think it's often about the how we measure the resilience of specific communities, and a lot will be around those areas and those communities that are most disadvantaged in our town, because if we're not getting it right for them, then everybody's at risk.
That makes sense. What about you, Debbie? What do you think? What would you say success would look like from kind of a resident perspective and just generally?
I think it's important, if we're sharing stuff and it's about cyber security, that some people, I don't know what that is. So we need to maybe get artists involved. I learnt that from dealing with environmentalists, trying to engage people in the environmental side that aren't particularly interested. You get the artists involved to create different things and perhaps not call it cyber security, call it something else. I don't know what, but something that's more appealing and that would engage people to make them think, oh, that's me. Whereas,
more appealing than cyber security.
Not possible.
I love the idea of cyber security and all things like that, but it's not everybody's cup of tea at all. And Mrs. Jones trying to contact her daughter on Facebook or something like that, who's then answering questions on, oh, what's your favourite pet's name? What's your date of birth? And all, giving away all their information without realising it. The word cybersecurity probably doesn't come into their vocabulary, whereas if we try and bring it down to everybody's level and go out, what Dan was saying, that would be my thing, go out to the communities at their community hubs, there's plenty of them around the town here, and, get involved with community groups and things like that. It's everybody. It's all of us.
I actually couldn't agree with you more.
And we all need to be resilient and look after each other.
Yeah, the word cyber means absolutely nothing. Every time I ask anybody what their definition of cyber is, I get a different answer.
It's something completely different. They think of Keanu Reeves in Matrix or something like that. Not Mrs.
We don't
Jones.
Want to know about those thoughts.
Not Mrs. Jones on her Facebook page, that sort of
Brilliant.
thing.
And Holly, I understand that you live in Portsmouth, so someone from a
I'm
coastal...
seaside.
Yeah, exactly. So for you, if we were to not literally copy and paste this to Portsmouth...
Why is the red finger blowing at me again? Oh, you mean you're from Portsmouth?
No, he's from Weston. He's from Weston.
Oh, I thought it was because I said...
Is that the 5-minute warning?
Yeah.
You had to call me. From Portsmouth. And I'll just give you some insight very quickly as to what I've seen successful in Portsmouth with regards to community projects. So I'm the cybersecurity lead at a community-driven initiative in Portsmouth called Portsmouth the Digital City. You heard about it? Okay. Just for those in the room, Portsmouth, we have a lot more population, however, a lot smaller area. And Portsmouth, unfortunately, is very overcrowded. We have lots of children that live in deprivation and poverty. Our schools are very much overcrowded. And we have quite a big tech divide. People have access to technology or using technology safely. We see unfortunately, a lot of activism on our local social media pages. So what the Digital City is looking to do is it's mainly started in schools, and that's what drew me in, because I have a passion for helping our children. And I looked at it from 3 areas, actually. Supporting my schools as businesses to help them understand cybersecurity, how to protect themselves, how to manage data. And I gave them a pack, a follow-along pack that I put together that helps I run them through incidents. I run them through data categorization or data classification to some people, helping them understand what they have and how they need to store that. Getting a basic information security management system in place with what they already have available, not making it as scary as that sounds. And Alongside that, I've included cybersecurity educational training, so training for primary, even actually infant. I go as low as infant schools, primary schools, secondary schools, and then I go one step further and do kind of females in cybersecurity. And then I do parent workshops. I involve the parents in it because unfortunately that's where a lot of my gap is. The kids know what they're doing. Well, they know what they're doing and they know they're not doing things very well. The parents don't know what the kids are doing. And that's where there is a gap. Now, what have we seen as success from that small project? One, our schools are safer, as education, unfortunately, is one of the industries. Yes? You have to stop me again.
Can you hurry up?
You're going to hate me today, I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm just saying very quickly then. It's making that small change, which is making the community safer online, that actually in this room, have you all learnt something that you can take back?
Please raise your hand if you've learnt something today.
That's my measure
that's
of success.
We can all go home.
Bye now.
I was
That's
going to...
really good as well to say really quickly.
What?
Really quickly, I promise.
Right, you're on
and
final
in fact,
notice.
I wish I changed my talk today. I wish I changed my talk, not to be about cybersecurity culture, but to talk about social media management for small businesses and cybersecurity through that. Because a lot of what my talk about is cybersecurity culture in big organisations, which wouldn't have landed. However, I spoke about how, when I talked about in my talk, the fish and chip shop that relies on it, that's its information security management centre, is Messenger.
Sounds like we've got our first speaker for 2026.
And that's next year. And I think that's how you connect with your community and make it relevant to them. Mic drop.
Bada bing, bada boom. I was going to... Okay, I'm wrapping up now because we'll just go completely wayward.
For questions.
Okay, yeah, so we won't do a wrap-up then on the final word. So I'll
No
put
questions,
it out to the... No time for questions? Okay, no more questions for everyone then. So I'll open it up to the audience then. If you've got any burning questions, I can see one from you, Gary.
What's the one thing that each of you have learned on today, or even about putting it together? One thing.
Do you want to?
You're starting with me. One thing.
Start with Hazel.
The literal power of community, because the volunteers, the speakers, the sponsors have come from all ends of this country to support us today. And that isn't just about Seasides and Weston, that is the power of this community. And we need to extend that outside of cyber as well to be more inclusive.
If you build it, they'll come. And I think it's really, really important that that people do the thing that they say they're going to do. And you guys have done it. It's amazing.
To me, it's a vast array of people involved in the cybersecurity sector, which I had absolutely no idea about, and all the different kinds of jobs and things that go on behind the scenes that most of us have got absolutely no knowledge of. So, and keep us safe, thank you.
All the good ones have been taken. What I've learned is, although this is an incredible effort, and this is not to say that this is, this isn't fantastic. Like you've blown me away, but I think there's so much more to be done. I think this has opened us up now to see that there is so much more we can do with the fantastic community that we've already started to build.
How can I follow up from that? I mean, I guess I'm kind of ending it the same as Hazel in a way about the power of community, and you probably can tell that my voice is starting to wobble a little bit, so I'll be very, very quick. Is the power of community. I have got my mum in the room. I've got people from... Yeah, I can't... This has meant everything to do this with Hazel. We've spent a whole year doing it. We put everything into it. It's been incredible. I really hope we can do it next year. Please give us feedback. Good, bad, ugly. We want to hear it. And
I don't want to hear the ugly.
Okay, undo. But yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for coming. I don't think we've got any more time for questions, I'm afraid. Otherwise, we're going to completely go over.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much.